Today's March 19th, Jaden, 2012. Lesson 2.4, we're factoring. And I want you guys to remember what types of quadratic equations we're factoring. Whoops. So, before this, we factored equations where we had x squared plus bx plus c. Okay, so they use different letters to represent the coefficients. A was the coefficient in front of the x squared. B would have been the coefficient in front of the x. And c was our constant term. We did this, our factoring, when a was equal to 1. Okay? So, what we're going to focus on today is when a is not 1. Okay? And remember, when a was 1, there was a shortcut. You could find two numbers that multiplied to c. So you could have set it up like this. Two numbers that multiplied to whatever c was. And those same two numbers needed to add to whatever b was. And you could have found your factors that way. That is not going to work the same for this. It's going to be a little different. Now there is a trick that is very similar to that. Okay? You can find two numbers that multiply to a times c. And those two numbers both need to add to our b term in the middle. But I'm not going to show you that method. We're going to go through a different method in order to solve this, okay? If you have seen that method before and you're more comfortable with it, that's 100% fine.
So what is this?
Factor. Okay. So, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to look for the factors of our a term, or our first term in this quadratic. So, what are the factors of 3x squared? 3 and 1. So we're going to put down our 3 and our 1. I'm going to attach the x on the side too because x times x gives us our x squared. Okay? I also need to find the factors of our c term. So, the number 8, what are factors of 8?
2, 4.
Good. That's it. You got them.
Brandon's gay.
Excellent. So, of these factors here, this is the hard part. We're going to find products, okay? And I want you to think of these as if they're in columns. So this is in a column here, in a column, and in a column. We're going to actually multiply the columns across, and their products need to add up to our middle term. Our middle term here is 14x, okay? So, what I'm going to need to do is we're going to use a trial and error method. What I'm going to do is practice multiplying across. We have 3 times 1, which would give me 3x, and 1x times 8, which would give me 8x. If I add or subtract these, so if they're positive or negative, do they add up to 14x? So I'm using a different marker, that's why. We could try it across also. 3x times 8 would give us 24x, and x times 1 would give us 1x. Any combination of those equal 14. No. So, we know that this pairing, this column does not work. Okay? So, we got to figure out the pairing in the other one. 3x times 2 gives us 6x. 1x times 4 gives us 4x. That doesn't work. So, we're only left with one left. Hopefully, this works. 3x times 4 gives us 12x.
Yeah, that one works.
And 2x. That's right. So, if they're both positive, we can add them together. Okay? So, I'm going to write this in permanent now. We end up with 2x and 12x. And when they add together, they get our 14x. Now, this is very important. What that means is we're using this column over here. And I got to double check that these work. Does positive 2 times positive 4 equal positive 8? Okay, so we know those are the numbers we're going to be using. Many people make the error here when they go to put it into factored form, because we can go straight from here into our factored form. Many people make the error of putting these numbers in the factors. It's the actual columns that are going to go into the factors. So the first column I used, 3x and 1x, are going to be the first terms in each bracket. So I'm going to put 3x in one of the brackets and 1x, or just x, in the other bracket. Now, this is the only tricky part. Because I multiplied 3 times positive 4, they have to go in opposite brackets.
Oh,
So where does the positive 4 go, Brendan?
on the right side.
That's right.
And 2 goes in the left bracket.
That's right. Very good. Had to go in opposite of what we multiplied by. And the reason behind that, guys, is because when we go to FOIL again, remember this is the opposite of FOIL, I have to multiply 3x times 4 and x times 2 in order to get the proper quadratic. Okay? So there's our factoring.
Alright, so I'm Mr. Belcastro, teaching the class. I'd like to say first off, Shane's girlfriend, Harry girlfriend, Brandon D'Souza, dumbest guy I've ever met. And let's do a little bit of math.